Any other training tips you got that you want to throw out there for anybody to crush it?
Yes, I think it's really important to learn a core set of, production. And I put together this training. I haven't done it in a long time. It's called the Wheelhouse. And the Wheelhouse was...
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
Well, it's amazing that you could do that, right? You could basically work from anywhere. If there's an internet connection, you could be there and, take into account the time zone. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a fantastic tip to really plug your agents in with other positive agents that are doing the kind of things you want to do. I think it's a huge one. Any other training tips you got that you want to throw out there for anybody to crush it?
Yes, I think it's really important to learn a core set of, production. I guess what I mean by that, we started training when I finally first started training agents. We just had 3 or 4 of us at the time. And I was like, I think it's time for us to start training together and thinking about some of these things. And I put together this training. I haven't done it in a long time. It's called the Wheelhouse. And the Wheelhouse was, and then you can do this on P&C too. I got a carrier for, this product, a carrier for this product, a carrier for this situation. But really, 99% of my production is going to come from, 4 or 5 carriers and product sets. I'm sure it's similar to you guys, but you might have, 80 or 90% coming from this. So it's really good to master this niche and this focus and then slowly build a blade or a tool on your Swiss Army knife over time to be able to handle all these additional things that come up. For instance, at first I might, like when I started, it was MedSup and then their drug plan, MedSup and their drug plan. And then eventually we added in, dental vision and hearing. Dental vision and hearing, they had these standalone policies that have dental vision and hearing in them. We started adding that because people were asking about it a lot. Then eventually we learned how to sell cancer insurance, by going into the guinea pig house with the concrete floors and smoking cigarettes with those people.
Poor guinea pig.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I'm sure guinea pig needed a cancer policy, but we were learning all these different products over time. And then eventually maybe learning annuities, learning like too many people come into the business and they say, you guys have probably seen this. I've seen it on the health side. They'll be like, I got my health, my life, my P&C license. I'm like, you don't need that. Like you need P&C in life or health in life. I really would not encourage anybody to say, I'm going to sell Medicare health insurance and P&C, commercial, personal. Like that's goofy. Like you really need to master a niche. And then if you want to sell everything, eventually I could see a path to that. I would almost say go 100 miles deep into one small niche with a couple of secondary and tertiary cross sells. And then if you want to tackle those other niches, hire somebody and kind of train and work with an outside partner to build that channel within your business. We can't all do everything. It's just too
right. Yeah, I think the young producer coming in, and I think probably all of us have shared this same vision at one point is, well, I want to be able to serve everyone because I don't want to miss out, right? It's this FOMO of, well, somebody comes to me and, they have a flower shop. I want to be able to offer them something. And it's like, well, do you? I mean, we want to be good at what we're offering, right?
Yeah.
The quarter, Brady doesn't go to Belichick and say, hey, look, I really want to serve the team by also kicking field goals and blocking for myself and running the ball and playing defense. It's like, that would be really cool, but no, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the person I'm talking about when you have the guy that wants to do everything. And I get where they're coming from because there's a little bit of, naivety there that when somebody's coming in, they need money. and I get it. I can't remember what movie that's for the guy had "I need money" tattooed on his lip, but I get it. We all need a little money, but it's a marathon business. And it is a get rich business, but it's a get rich moderately slow, but the get rich quick businesses scare the shite out of me, because it's like, if you're getting rich really quick, what is it at the expense of, other than like accidental crypto rich or whatever. But like when you get a,
that's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I've had the whole board covered.
I think that happens to me too. It's a little bit of gambling going on for it. I believe in it long term, but
this is invested.
But when I look at people making these, the mistake is really high, going down into a niche, picking a niche, and pick a niche with residual. And I don't know how crude I can be, but we tell people, like, you really have to eat a little shit the first year or two.
Yeah.
It's just, unless you're one of those exceptions and you got some kind of crazy story that got you rich really fast in an ethical way. But it's not the common theme. And I don't say that to scare people out of the business, because I think it's a great business.
Yep.
You got to be prepared to come in, do things the right way, become specialized, and just grow and grow and grow. And then 3, 4, 5 years in, you're having this psychological event where you're like, oh my God, that's what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what they're talking about, like when the gravy train of residual hits, until you got it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, oh yeah, that'd be cool, all that money coming in. But no, then you wake up and you're like, I had a bad week, and your bank account's bigger than it ever was, and you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah. And each year it stacks and stacks and stacks. And then, it's remarkable. And especially as that marketing spend goes up, I think that there's this fear of spending on marketing and then not getting an ROI on it, instead of it being, let me spend, and it's my education. I'm going to learn something, right? And I may actually make significant return on that investment by sticking with it. And I think agents have this short-term memory sometimes and want that quick, I want to get paid right now. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen. We got to spend and then stick with it and, not keep jumping ship, which is a perfect segue into what I'd love to ask you. We've touched on marketing, but I'd really like you to get specific on what for you has been the most effective marketing strategy in the last couple of years.
The most effective marketing strategy has been keeping congruent, like a consistent portion of our budget towards multimedia branding. I know that's probably not the most common answer, but
love it.
We decided a long time ago that we want leads for today, but I wanted a brand to create like these free leads down the road. And if I turned off all my advertising now for a year, we would still have people walking in and calling in. A slowly dropping rate, I'm sure, but we'd still have tons of people coming in because we've invested in it for so long. And that's also an effect that's really hard to tell somebody until they've seen it. Yeah. But, as far as a lead strategy that somebody could take to the bank, I mean, in the Medicare and the life or senior market side, direct mail is still very lucrative in a lot of areas because you can get in. It's an easy way from the get-go when nobody knows who you are to have a reason to knock on their door or call them and get in the house. The other ones are, Facebook was really good for us in 2015. It kind of fell off. And then, interestingly, it's making a comeback for us. We're doing pretty well on there. We're starting to get, it's different than it used to be, but it's doing really well. I'm trying to think if we do anything crazy. We do some weird stuff. Like we bought a Sprinter van, like a luxury Sprinter van, because we were having to take some of our team to like conferences and stuff. And so I was like, well, I could buy a Sprinter van and wrap it. And now I got a billboard that also doubles as we get to take it places. And nice. So we have this like wrapped, Medicare gurus looking Sprinter van nice. With a 1855, 65 years, 800 number all over it. And we actually were going to Dallas to a conference last summer, and we had, I think, what did we have? 9. It seats 12. I think we had like 10 people in it, and it's got movies, TVs, and all this stuff in the back. Anyway, we stopped in like Arkansas, and we got out, and one of our guys got a lead off of somebody asking us because of the Sprinter van. what we did, and he got a lead and sold a guy Medicare supplements.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
And you got to deduct the entire thing in one
I
year.
can write the whole thing off as a marketing. You get the vehicle expense, but I mean, I could write the wrap off as marketing. So
Yeah,
love it. So, Justin, what would you say is how important referrals are to your business?
Referrals are huge, and this is why it's important to do a really good job. And we do focus on. We have license in most states, and we do get a lot of referrals in different states, but when you focus on heavily penetrating one kind of geographic area, you have to do a good job because, a pissed off customer tells 15 people, a happy customer tells, 5, right? Well, we are big on advocating for reviews, and we have some automation set up with our CRM where we get pretty steady Google reviews and Facebook reviews. But we are very big on encouraging referrals. And not only that, but when we do multimedia advertising, to get back to a brand, our referrals, I think, convert more than maybe the average person's referrals, because if they're in our area and they're referring to us and say Sally Smith says, oh, I went over to, the Brocks or Brock Insurance, went over to their office and they helped me out. If she said, I went over to this guy named Tom, he helped me, and he's in Moorville, Mississippi. They've never heard of Tom, right? He doesn't advertise or anything. They're probably going to forget that. They probably didn't write down the number. Maybe if they wrote down his number somewhere, they could find it. They lost it. It's very difficult for that referral to end up legitimately translating into a sale. But when they say the Brocks with Medicare, they're saying, oh, those people from TV, all those people all over Facebook, all those people that mail everybody when they're turning 65, all those people that mail people when they're over 65. We're so in their face that the referral converts from the marketing at a higher percentage of the time. And I know that to be true. So that's huge for us, is having the referrals be able to convert by when somebody says our name, it's not hard for them to find our phone number.
Yeah. And that branding play, I think it's important also to disclaim or make a disclaimer that this is a later stage. This is not a growth stage. We're not doing this branding play because there isn't the cash flow.
That's when you've created that residual income, and you siphon off some of it, just like you do for taxes, to create the legacy play.
Exactly.
And that's definitely, it's a big boy move and or a girl move, but it's something once you have some money, and I'm not saying you're rich, but once you have, maybe 6 figures in renewals, you're paying Uncle Sam, and then you're taking 10 or 15,000 and you start growing that. And then as you get to 200,000, now you're spending 20, 25,000, always spending it on the long-term marketing as well as the short-term marketing.
Yeah. Well, lower that taxable bucket and help your agency grow.
Absolutely.
So critical.
I'd rather spend it on marketing than, taxes.
So I learned that the wrong way, which I've told Mr. Jason about, where I got duped into putting my face on all the shopping carts at Safeway, like right when I started.
Right.
And that was a bad investment. So I got zero calls for that. So, but you're not going to get calls, right? That's it's to create that awareness. So
it's like billboards, man. Billboard. I got a colleague in Indiana. Outside, he lives in Maryville, but he's got billboards all around, in and out of Chicago on the 4 lanes, and he's had them there for 20 years now, right? And he spends $16,000 a month on billboards, maybe more than that now, but a couple of years, $16,000 a month on billboards. The dude is one of the top Medicare supplement distributors in the country, but it didn't start out that way. He just believed in it and kept pushing more and more into it over time, and it's hard to find people that discovered that, because it's hard to find the people that were crazy enough to keep spending it, not really getting anything off of it for a long time.
Very long. You're competing with carriers when you're putting up billboard ads. And so you have to have an understanding of what that requires and the kind of marketing budget.
Absolutely.
So, but some people put it up. They're like, look, I'm famous. Like, well, you need a lot of them and they need to be everywhere.
We get that in town. And, we don't even do a lot with billboards, because even though I'm a branding guy, I'm not a billboard guy personally. I do know it works for them. I know it works for a lot of attorneys that go ham on it. There's this guy in Alabama named Alexander Schooner that he supposedly holds the record in the country for how much he spends on billboards as a privately owned business. But anyway, there are people that will throw them up in town, and I'm talking like small agents, and they'll get one right in the center of town. And in Tupelo, they're probably cheaper in some places, but if you're in the center of town, it's $1,000 a month. And I'm like, I don't think that you're at the level to spend $1,000 a month on a billboard. That's like I have plenty of money thing to do.
Right.
Right.
And there probably is a percentage, right? Like you have your budget and you know what it costs, and then you can back it in and say, oh, if it's only 2% of my budget, then that's something. And I don't know what that number is.
Yeah, it's a reverse engineering your or reverse budgeting into, what is my lifetime value of a client? What
One
is
of my
my
favorite things.
immediate return of value on a client? What is my cost to acquire a client, or cost per lead, or both? And when you know some of those factors, you can begin to know, what can I spend to acquire this client? And you have to do that primarily on a short-term budget, and then hedge like this unnecessary return amount of money into a long-term strategy.
Right.
Some people do it on Google, like they're putting money into their website copy and stuff like that. And it's a long-term SEO strategy, because it doesn't really return right away. But everybody knows if you really do things the right way on Google, and you put a whole bunch of money into it for a long time, a whole lot of time into it, a whole lot of backlinking, all that, and you do it the right way, not building like a spammy website,
Right.
eventually it'll pay off. Well, it's kind of like branding, but branding, I would say, is more of a sure thing than SEO. So
Yes. I'll diving back into the clients. So we've talked a lot about the marketing. We've talked about getting them in the front end of the funnel and pushing them through. But how about once they're a new client, how is that onboarding strategy for your clients? And how do you make sure that it's a really exceptional client experience?
So when we bring our clients in, I think we can do a lot better on this. I'll be completely honest. We do get a lot of positive reviews, but I have been a little bit perturbed by even the handful of negative we get, because I just hate it. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
It keeps me up at night.
Haters gonna hate.
I know it's going to exist, but I just want to eliminate so much of it from the consumer side. I almost am more okay with it with agents, because I've just learned that agents complain, and clients do
they?
But yeah, agents complain. But we want to first bring them in, have the one-on-one consultation with their agent or expert. Then we have a client retention team that's supposed to follow that application to approval, and do all the follow-up in between. And then the core agent should be calling them back to congratulate on and make sure they don't have any additional questions. The process there too, there are some automated follow-ups, and we are pretty big on automation. We automate a thank you card through thanks.io. We automate, the text that asks for the reviews once the policy is marked approved in our system and is going into force. I can't remember the exact amount of time after it, but there's a little delay in it. But it goes through, and the automation page doesn't say, here, leave us a review. It says, rate your experience, and it's got like the big thumbs up or thumbs down. And then when they click thumbs up, it takes them to leave a review. If it's thumbs down, it has them submit feedback to us. Kind of like what Bird's Eye used to do. We just kind of built it on our own now.
Nice.
And then, there's just other follow-ups along the way. Like we send them birthday cards annually. We send them a newsletter once a year. It's like a 3-page little magazine type of newsletter we put together. And then we send them a refrigerator magnet with a full year's worth of calendar on it, just stuff like that. And I don't care if they're in Boise, Idaho, and I'm in Mississippi. I want all those clients to have it, because I want them to have no problem getting hold of us if they have a question, right? So to try to keep that loyalty. And we do have a really high, retention and persistency rate, thankfully. So I'm the guy that thinks we can do better. I've been wanting to hire a couple of people that just do nothing but call people on their birthdays and call them on certain anniversaries and just do everything they can, because I also think it'll breed tons of referrals.
Nice. And then that was my next question was, what right now is your number one retention tactic?
Yeah. We were at one time calling everybody on the birthday and doing some of those types of things. I think the number one thing is that in our slow season, because we do have a slower season, and we still do business. A lot of people think Medicare and health insurance just shuts down, most of the year. It doesn't. Medicare supplements can be written year round through underwritten practices. People turn 65 all year long. There's special enrollment periods and different things, people retiring mid-year, all kinds of other things we market to, but it does slow down in comparison to the fall. So in that slow season, we have our core agents actively calling our clients and checking on them, and not churning them, but making sure they're not, we want to check on them, make sure they don't have anything, look for maybe a cross-sell opportunity. But if they start, answering the phone and just like, hey, yeah, this rate is crazy. This is ridiculous. Well, of course, we're going to make sure that they're happy and make sure that they have the best, rate and coverage available to them. And so that physical, like I know people that just like go way above and beyond on the stuff they send out, but nothing to me replaces having the capacity to be able to put a team on just calling as many people as possible.
Love that. So this is a very important question. We talked about motivation for the team. And I'm curious, besides listening to this podcast, how do you keep yourself motivated?
This podcast is the number one thing.
Obviously. So let's just discount that. And then what else?
Okay. So I actually struggled a lot with burnout early on when it was more just me. Having creating a team, I feed off of the energy that we create as a collective now. I feel like, and I'll hit these little periods, but adversity, when I have a real big problem come up that I have to overcome and rebuild or refix something or whatever, that kind of reinvigorates me, ignites a fire to work harder and make big moves. So I would say there's definitely that, but there is a content aspect to it. It used to be consuming content and going to conferences and events. I really enjoy going to events and meeting people. It's not necessarily about the event, although some of them are better than others. It is mostly about the people at the event and going and hanging out with these people that I don't get to see all that often. And COVID made me really want to go to some events because I was, stuck in my damn house for so long. So.
Yeah, I hear that.
What's COVID?
It's what Mr. Jason has.
That's the thing you said you had. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, if you're in California, I'm sure you know about good stuff in the house.
And Omicron.
Yeah, Omicron and
Omicron.
I feel like you guys should have a Gavin Newsom variant out there. So
I think we do.
They love
the
him.
one I think
they
I got.
love Newsom.
So COVID definitely changed the world within the last couple of years. What's the biggest change that you see affecting our agencies in the next couple of years?
So it's a really weird thought for me because I think that right now everything's evolving towards telesales, but I think that regional hub resource center call centers and brick and mortar shops with the ability to come in, even if you could do business telephonically, will have a really good chance to thrive in the future because and this is what I see in Medicare more. So Medicare, these national call centers that just call the ever living crap out of people like from Pakistan, India with nukes. That joke may have came from before we were recording. So there's a little bit of an inside joke there. Make it up. But
I don't remember ever hearing that. So.
So when you have Pakistani call centers that just calling all these Medicare beneficiaries, transfer them, very low value proposition plan swapping that's going on. Not experts, agents that come in, they're in and out, fly by night. They're not on like any kind of long-term residual commission schedule. They're just popping into a call center, getting certified. 3 weeks later, they're changing people. So in Medicare, it's specifically, I see the need for like local specialized resource centers to evolve more, but be willing to do business telephonically. So it's like a modern version of an old brick and mortar store. It just, everybody wants to think like, oh, okay, everything's going to Amazon and everything's going to all these things. There has to be a backlash at some point, or nobody will have a damn job unless you work for Amazon or some gigantic call center. So I think the backlash is that the small business eventually technologically catches up to the big businesses and creates small businesses that can compete on value proposition in smaller markets. And I think Google, for instance, as an indicator of where the market's going, wants that because they try to refer you in search to people local to you. They do that because they think that their consumer is happier when they can find someone closer. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a virtual agent that's better than some local agents. That's why I think the local agencies need to evolve and do better.
Love that. Before we wrap it up, and I want to thank you, number one, for going the distance and just providing, quite honestly, the best interview of the year. And this is probably here in January. So
January 3rd.
Right. The best of 2020. All I got to do is keep that title.
Yeah, you're going to keep it throughout the year. But what would be your number one recommendation to any agent that would make the biggest impact moving forward?
These are good questions, guys.
The stumpers.
The stumpers.
Just they're all coming off the top of our head.
Yeah, I know. You never done. You guys are noobs to this. You haven't done a lot of interviews yet, I'm sure.
No good ones yet.
No good ones. Well, this one.
This one.
So,
this one.
Yeah.
So I would say number one thing, I really go back to something we were talking about earlier that has probably been, there's several euphemisms I've learned from, mentors or people that have, gone the distance in the business and done great things. But it's a marathon, not a sprint, in understanding that it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it is a get rich business element to what we do. By doing the right thing and helping as many people as possible and telling everyone what you do all the time, you can build a massive business if you stick it out. 98% persistency in this business for people who make it 5 years. So, if people that stay in it those first 5 years don't leave after that. And so you have to stay in it. People say 92% of insurance agents fail. Well, they fail within the first year, most likely, the majority of those, right? So if you can stay in it, stay the course and figure out how to get through it, it's an amazing business to be in.
Yeah.
Because you can truly just help people find a better price, better coverage, understand what they have better, be a resource for them. And you can't be replaced by software, because yes, the software could end up being smarter than you, but most of your clients don't know how to use the damn software. So it's very difficult to I don't see that on the rapid horizon. And I think people that want to get into this, stay the course, go the distance, can have a great income providing a real resource in the only one of two industries maybe that survived the Great Depression without going bankrupt. Insurance industry was one of them. It's very necessary. What we do is very necessary in times of huge uncertainty for individuals or the entire damn world. Yeah. So keep doing it. Stay the course.
Love it. Man. So good. So how can all the insurance dudes and dudettes out there check out Justin Brock on the interwebs? Where do you want them to go?
Oh, yeah. So YouTube is very important to us right now. We really, really are. That's our kind of platform. But people do know us from our Facebook group, Medicare Gurus. That's the one with, there's over 8,000 in there, members in there. And it's very active, very active. So if you're interested in Medicare, for sure there. If you're interested just in more general content about insurance, we are Medicare guys. We don't pretend to be P&C guys. We do talk sales, talk, private equity money flooding in, telephonic sales, all those types of things. Our YouTube channel is definitely one, youtube.com/Justin Brock. We have websites, but really the social mediums, as my grandparents would call them, they're where all the activity is.
I'm going to use that. I like that.
Yeah.
Social media.
Well, it's like the Krogers and the Walmarts. And
yeah. And the YouTubes and the Books of Face. Yeah.
The YouTubes and
Foshbook.
Yeah, don't say that anymore.
Oh, that's right.
In other countries, that means something bad.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our editor is in Pakistan, and we said Foshbook, and we just heard this giggling. He goes, that doesn't mean Facebook. Okay.
Yeah. Well, good to know.
So, well, dude, Justin, such an honor to have you on, and this was phenomenal. Like, honestly, anybody that comes on after is going to have a hard time competing for best of 2022. Man.
True.
So thanks for coming on, man.
You guys will do it because you guys get good guests. You have good content. You got great cartoon and emoticons that I see all over the internet. So that's working for you, by the way. That's branding, and it works. And so thank you so much for having me on. And I hope that you help somebody.
Cool, man.
You're awesome. Thanks,
we'll
Justin.
see it. We'll check in down the road. Thanks, bud.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over $10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.